From the newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle, this is the Brazos Sports Prepscast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Brazos Sports Prepscast. I'm Alex Miller from the Eagle, joined always by Jake Weiss, the Eagles high school sports reporter. We got a new guy here in the middle, Andrew Tenio. He is our new sports crew member. What's up, Andrew? How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm super excited to be on the cast, to be a part of the team. Really got the vibes of BV this past weekend. Was doing some coverage of Brian Rudder. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just super stacked to be here, super excited, and just to dive into all of this.
Well, hey, things are starting to take shape here. Wouldn't you say, Jake?
Yeah, I'd say so. It was the first week of district. I think it's kind of hard to, learn everything about a team in the first week, but I thought we had some pretty good games across the board. A couple upsets, too, I thought. So, pretty good start.
Some notable outcomes, big games on the horizon, especially around the Valley once you start looking at some of our surrounding areas, schools. Andrew, what's been the most enriching thing that you've learned in your first week at the Eagle?
I guess put me very
this is
a
dangerous question now.
We'll talk about the word vocabulary too. I think the variety of just being able to you have different types of schools, you have different types of cultures and environments that you're around each and every single week. There seems like you get to learn something new about every single team, at least from the high school perspective. And I'm just super excited to get to know more and going to a new place this weekend. So I'm super excited. So,
well, let's dive right into the action. Let's start with the Bryan Vikings. Hey, be high, they beat Temple 53-25. Not only did they beat Temple, this is a historic victory for a number of reasons, okay? First of all, we all know Temple is a longtime rival of Bryan. First time in 18 years that Bryan had beat Temple on the road. First time they'd beat them in general since 2010. And not only that, it's the most points Bryan's ever scored against Temple. I mean, I tweeted last Friday when I was keeping up with Travis's scores, I was like, when was the last time Bryan put up a 50-burger on the Wildcats? Well, the answer was never. And so, it's pretty clear that Temple's down this year. But, this was a huge win for Bryan. Not only did they just win the game, but the way they did it was just so impressive. Jake?
Well, it's funny. I went over this afternoon to talk with Coach Tellis and Isaiah Nuttall for a feature story on Isaiah, who had 209 yards, I think 2 scores in the game, 25 carries. And it's kind of funny because, we've talked a lot about Bryan on the podcast, and it kind of hit me when I asked him about this week's game against Copper's Cove. They were like, hey, Friday, Coach Tellis especially was like, hey, Friday was a complete performance. We played, full 48 minutes. Offense, special teams, defense, and it kind of got me thinking. Like I just kind of started running in my head, the last couple of games for Bryan, and it was like, the Huntsville game. Well, they had that one quarter, the Brenham game. Well, this happened, and I was just kind of running in my head. It's like, I guess he's not kidding. You think about all the games we talked about it on the podcast, Alex. There always just seems to be like one quarter or just one bad break for Bryan. But really this week, top from offense, defense, special teams, they put it all together and. Let's see if they can do it again this week in another district game. I know it's at home. It's homecoming, so, they don't have to go on the road again. But
yeah, I think something that stood out to me the most when I was looking at this is obviously you look at the points. The points are nice. Terrence Lewis's performance was great. Isaiah was really good. I'll talk about the defense. Defense only gave up 7 points in the second half. They were really good in the second half in a game where you expected to be high scoring in the beginning because, Temple got going early on. But I was really proud and impressed with the Bryan defense to be able to step up and really limit them and make sure the game didn't go into a shootout. So that was something that really stood out to me.
Yeah, Bryan was 1-3 coming out of non-district play. And so, winning a game like this, certainly impressive. Now they get Copper's Cove, like you said. And Bryan beat Cove last year. Cove is not a good team this year. This is a game that Bryan can and probably should win before a bye week. And, if you're Bryan, if you win this game going into a bye week, you get 2 weeks to prepare for Pflugerville-Weiss, who has kind of separated itself as probably the team to beat in 12-6A. You're feeling pretty good. I'm not ready to put Pflugerville-Weiss on upset alert, But I'm feeling better about where the trajectory of Brian's season's going after a win over Temple.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, this is a time to make the playoff push. So you start 2-0. Weiss is, I think, still undefeated. I think they're 5-0. But yeah, 2-0. You got a head start on everybody else in the district. I mean, Brian was what 3-3 last year and made the playoffs. So
yeah, I mean, 3 wins is going to get you into the playoffs
yeah,
in this district.
They've already got. If they could, I don't want to jump the gun, but they could get to the second one this week. Then you just need one more, and I think you have you'll have 4 games in district left, 5 games.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, so you got 4 games potentially
To win one.
win one. So pretty good start for them, and yeah, we'll see if they can get it done this Friday.
Staying on the side of town, Brian. Hey, how about the Rudder Rangers taking down Lamar Consolidated 40-13? Jake, when we talked last week, we said this was a game that Rudder had to win if they want a shot to be on the right side of the playoff standings when it all was said and done. And that's what they did, exceeding last year's win total already with 3 wins. They're 1-0. And, hey, no Cody Billings? No problem, because you got a guy named Jaquise Martin who just did his thing. You were at that game, Andrew. What'd you see from the Rangers in their win last Friday?
I mean, one team, like you mentioned, one team had Jaquise Martin, the other didn't. I think that was really the difference maker in the game. What really impressed me with him was that I talked to Coach afterwards, and he mentioned that Jaquise has had some quarterback experience in the past, and that kind of showed. Like, he's actually a capable thrower. He had a couple really long touchdown passes. He has some nice touch on some of his throws. The defense was also super impressive. They held him to a shutout in the first half. Even though they had some mistakes here and there with some plays they probably should have made that didn't just go their way, but a couple fumble recoveries, a couple turnovers on downs. They had a goal line stand twice. So super impressed with the backs against the wall. Were able to do well. But yeah, Jaquise Martin, maybe the offense is fine. I don't know. Maybe the offense will be fine consistently with Jaquise Martin, but like I said, we don't know the timetable on Cody. He was day-to-day coming into the game, and he did 1 snap, so I was unsure, is it like a package deal? But he took 1 snap, then he took his pads off the next drive, and it was all over. So,
hey, I think the bye week comes at a good time for Rudder. Wouldn't you say, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. I told you last week, I was like, hey, look at the schedule from last year. Lamar Consolidated was one of their closest district losses. Pretty sure Huntsville, who they play after the bye, was the next closest. So, yeah, it comes at a good time. Maybe you get Cody back. Maybe not. It's a good sign he was at least able to suit up for just, that 1 snap, even if it was maybe just a morale thing, hey, get the guys fired up. It's good to see, they can at least feel confident about putting him out there, even if it's just for 1 snap. You get 2 weeks to prepare for Huntsville. Hey, something else I'm kind of excited to see, new stadium. Huntsville ISD opens their stadium.
Yeah, they're going to.
I think they're going to play a couple JV games there first, but I think our good buddy Colton Foster from the Huntsville Item, I think he said this should be the first varsity game in that stadium.
Right.
So, hey, for Rudder, hey, they go there, new stadium, maybe making some noise, 2-0. You're, like you said, Alex, you're staying on that right side of the playoff push if you pick up a second win in here in 2 weeks.
The 3-game stretch that Rudder's about to go into, it's going to be pretty tough, okay? Because they got Huntsville, Lake Creek, and Brenham. So, if Rudder can find a way to win one of those games, feeling pretty decent about their chances to make the playoffs. I think they could get in with 3 wins in district play, similar to Bryan. But, you think about 2 years ago, the overtime win against Huntsville on the road was the difference of Rudder getting into the playoffs and being left out. So, they're going to have to just find a way to make it happen. And, I'm sure Coach Izar's squad feels good about having 2 weeks to prepare for Huntsville. I think of the 3, Huntsville might be the game that is the most winnable of that bunch.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see because Brenham's district opener is this week. I forget who they play. Is it Lake Creek?
No, they play Randall.
Randall, okay.
They play Randall.
And I guess I want to say Randall started off 1-0 in district.
No, they lost to Lake Creek last week in a shootout.
I'm off.
But Lake Creek's like number 3 in 5A Division 2, which is just nuts because they've just really come out of nowhere, just guns blazing, just tearing people up.
Well, I'm not going to try to make any more guesses on old District 10. Like, we can move on to the next game. I don't want to say something else that's wrong.
Well, I hope you don't have to guess on the next one that we're talking about because you were there.
I was there, yeah.
A&M Consolidated, man, they lost a heartbreaker to Georgetown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things just went wrong in every which way offensively for the Tigers. They had, 5 turnovers? Will Hargett got replaced in the second half by Tyler Poling. And, Jake, just what's going on with Consol?
Yeah, I think I talked to Coach afterwards, kind of from what I saw too. Consol's right there with them the whole game. I mean, I just kept sitting up in the press box thinking to myself, man, if Consol can just get out of their own way, they'd be right in this. I mean, 5 turnovers. They had 3 in the first half. The one I kind of always come back to was, you had about 40 seconds left. Consol's around. I think Consol's on the 22-yard line. They try a deep shot to the end zone. It's picked off. Pretty much ends the first half. I'm just thinking to myself, man, if they don't pick that off, even if it's just an incompletion, you still got, 30-ish seconds. You can maybe get some points on the board, feel pretty good going into half, maybe even tie this game up.
Hey, Colton could have gotten a field goal. I mean, he made a 51-yarder. Would have been good from 60.
I was about to say, yeah, he's got a leg on him. And, I mean, he's a pretty good receiver, too. Big shout out there. But, yeah, I mean, just they couldn't get out of their way. And I think that's been the issue. Obviously I was at that Huntsville game. That was obviously the season opener. It was a couple weeks ago. But I kind of think about that, too. There was a couple mistakes. They just kind of keep shooting themselves in the foot, and I think once they kind of get that monkey off their back, they stop making mistakes, their own mistakes. I think they'll be kind of the Consol we're used to. That's the best way I can, I'll play doctor here. That's the best way I can diagnose it.
Here's one thing we do know about Consol is that they got a pretty salty defense.
Yeah.
I mean, when your offense gives up 5 turnovers and you only allow 14 points, that's pretty impressive. I mean, the defense kept them in. Now, weren't able to get that one final stop, and of course it's Andrew Petter, the guy we were talking about last week. They really held him in check, though. I got to give them credit for that. You said Keyshawn Thomas didn't play last week, right?
Yeah, no, I had heard up in the press box, someone just said he was out. I believe concussion. Someone said in the press box he got a concussion against Lufkin. So, yeah, he was out. So, at running back, they just kind of relied on Cameron Vines and Trey Taylor, who, hey, shout out to Trey. He had a pretty solid night on the ground. I think he had a 51-yard rushing touchdown. So, pretty good night for him.
If they can get Keyshawn back here pretty soon, especially this week, I mean, that'd be huge because he is one of the top 3 players on their team probably. And, they've got a tough game at Cedar Park this week, though. And Consol kind of eked this one out last year on that last-second field goal from good old Mo Fochetti.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've got Colton kind of following in Mo's footsteps. I got to admit, I posted a video because I filmed Colton's 51-yarder at the game because I was just thinking to myself, man, I think he's got the leg for this because he had just made a 46 at 46, but they got pushed back because of a penalty. And I saw at one point Mo liked his tweet, and I was like, oh man, kickers, they got to stick together.
This is kind of a get right week for Consol, though. I mean, if they can go and beat Cedar Park, you're feeling better about the Tigers and where they might be heading into the because I think Georgetown and Cedar Park, those are probably the 2 teams that you're really competing with in that district for a playoff spot, and for seeding for that matter.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think which the team we're about to talk about, College Station. I think they're kind of
too.
They're kind of the favorite right now, but I think 2 through 4 is kind of up for grabs. At least at the moment, like I said, it's only the first week, but I think 2 through 4 is kind of up for grabs. And yeah, those 3 schools are kind of, I'd say, the ones that are really going to make the push for it.
Well, speaking of the College Station Cougars, they dominated Leander 70-28, which isn't necessarily surprising. I think in the Harris ratings they were favored by 42, so at they kind of nailed that one. But the fact of the matter is that College Station played pretty bad in the first quarter, and they didn't score in the fourth quarter when they were playing most of their backups, and they still hung 70 points on Leander, which in my book at least is pretty impressive. They got Aiden Martinez-Brown back. He was pretty impressive. He's going to only boost their offense that's pretty stout. To me, though, the one big concern that I have with the Cougars right now is secondary play. You know, they gave up over 300 passing yards. Leander knew that was a vulnerability that they could try and take advantage of, and it worked really well in the first about 15 minutes of the game. And then their quarterback started throwing interceptions like every single drive, which credit to the Cougar defense. They really clamped down and had some good downfield coverage, especially in the second half. Braylon Wortham had 3 interceptions. Fisher Maynor had 2. He probably should have had a third one, although it called back for a penalty. But you know, I think that if you're the Cougars, you're feeling pretty good. They get Georgetown Eastview at home this week. Eastview is not a good team. College Station should get another big win on Friday night.
I think one of the cool things from my perspective at least is that, you know, it feels kind of weird because I'm jumping in the middle of the season, but it also gives me a unique point of view of like these teams already have concrete identities. They know what they are and they know what they want to do. Whenever I was looking at your tweets throughout the night, I was interested. I was like, oh, so this is how College Station plays their brand of football. Not the first quarter, but the next 2, and that gave me a good idea of what to expect with this College Station team. And it's just, if I felt the winning culture with those second and third quarters of no matter what, even if we go down a score, if we're just not playing well, we know we can right the ship, and they did it to a massive degree. So.
Jake, you got any thoughts on the Cougars?
Hey, I just got to say, at one point I looked at your Twitter, and it was like 14-14. I took a little bit of a break, was covering my game, and then all of a sudden I see 70 points. That really confused me. So I was very glad you just gave us your little rundown there.
It added
I was
up
confused.
really fast.
Sound like it.
It added up really fast. Hey, shout out to Harper Hall, College Station's left tackle. He caught a 2-point conversion and executed it to a T. So that was kind of funny. I got to talk with him after the game. Said he'd never seen the end zone, been an offensive lineman his whole life. So, he was all smiles after that game for sure.
Man, I just wish, they could celebrate. I would like to know what his celebration would have been.
Yeah, I don't know if I caught that one.
As I say, I know it's just a penalty now. You just got to hand the ball off. But
yeah.
I'm curious if he'd bust out some dance moves or if they got something choreographed.
Stony Pryor busted out some dance moves after the game, and
Really?
I was not fast enough to get a video of it, but it was hilarious. I had never seen that man dance in my life.
The question is, what kind of dance did he do? Do you remember?
It was a very classic, dad move. Just like
Come on, show us, Alex.
Tell the people.
You seen Mac Brown or Dabo Sweeney in the locker room?
Oh,
dancing
yeah.
it kind of looked like
Okay.
that. Okay.
I see.
So he's not busting it down with the stinky leg, but it was a move, and the players were getting up for it. So that was funny watching Coach Pryor do that after the game. Well, private school roundup. Jake, want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was. We'll start it off. It was a record-setting night or milestone of a night for Ethan Lucas over at Allen Academy. Threw his 100th career touchdown pass, and he didn't stop there. He's at 102 now. Big win for Allen Academy, 65-20. Ended in the third quarter against Apple Springs. That 45-point rule, so Mercy rule took care of business. Brazos Christian lost one to Bay Area Christian. Cooper Murr had a pretty big night, though. He had 240 passing yards. I know he's the freshman behind Jackson Caffey. So, hey, as a freshman, 240, not too shabby, I don't think. Last but not least, of course, the undefeated St. Joseph Eagles. How about that, huh? Mark Michelin, the
man.
truth, baby.
4-0.
Big win over Brazosport Christian. Let's see what they can keep doing, man. They're 4-0, 2-0 in district. Look out for the Eagles.
Mark Michelin, he's the man.
He is. He's the man.
Jackson Carey, he's the guy. Hey, 3 games to watch this week. We got some big showdowns here in the Brazos Valley. It's kind of where rubber meets the road on a couple of these teams, if we're being honest. So, first one, of course, this is one of the best games in the state, by the way, this week. You got number 10, Madisonville, going to number 2, Columbus, 4A Division II versus 3A Division I. The Mustangs, they're 5-0. They're off to a historic start, but this is gonna be the real deal battle this week. Jake, you talked with Coach Urbanky over at Madisonville yesterday. what do you have to say about this game?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Got my notes right
Oh, he's
here.
got his
Yeah,
notes.
look
He's
at that.
prepared. Look at this guy.
Yeah,
My
so
man.
one of the first things that he talked about Columbus that really stuck out to me was that he said just point blank, this is one of the better offensive lines we're going to face all season.
They got some big dudes.
Yeah.
We saw that last year when we went and covered them against Franklin. They got some
Exactly, yeah.
dudes up front.
So that was just the first thing he said. So I'll kind of talk about both sides of the ball because he was real gracious. He told me kind of what they have to do on defense, the Mustangs do, and on offense. So we'll start with the offense since we're talking about, we'll start with the defense since we're talking about that offensive line for Columbus. Really he just said, hey, it's simple. We just can't get out of position. We just got to play well. But the most important thing, we tackle well. He knows Columbus has got a really dynamic offense. They've got a great running back. We already talked about that offensive line. I believe they've got a quarterback committed to Baylor.
Adam Schobel.
Yeah.
Schobel, yeah.
His dad's the head coach over there.
Schobels are famous in Columbus, Jake.
I did not know this. Okay, it's news to me. And then same thing for Madisonville's offense. He said, hey, the big thing is we've seen those scores, Alex. We've talked about the offense for Madisonville. They sometimes they just get it done through big plays. This week, script's going to get a little flipped. That Columbus defense likes to keep everything in front of them. So he said, hey, 5-6 yards of play, that's a win. We got to just get small plays like that. We might not have a 40-yard bomb from Ty Williams to Lorenzo Johnson to get into the end zone. It might be 5 plays, 5-yard pass, 5-yard pass, and just keep it rolling from there. But yeah, he had a lot of good things to say about both teams, but those are just kind of really, he said, hey, if we can do all that, put all that together, we should have a shot. But he knows it's not going to be an easy game.
Anderson Shiro, they're taking on Newton this week. This is where we really find out if the Owls are the real deal. We've talked about them a lot on the show, Jake.
The Fighting Owls.
The Fighting Owls. They're 5-0, but here comes Big Bad Newton. They're 42-point favorites in the Harris ratings. I picked Newton to win the game. If you're a 42-point favorite, it's dumb not to pick them. I will say, I think Anderson covers. Absolutely. Not that we need to be talking about spreads in high school football. But, I feel like the story of Anderson's team so far has been the defense. The defense has been fantastic. And we know Newton can put up points. So I'm curious to see how strong can this Anderson defense hold up against probably what's going to be the best offense they see in the regular season at least.
Well, that was funny. I talked to Coach Hodges, and I've never heard Newton compared to the Dallas Cowboys before, but kind of heard that comparison this week. He said, it doesn't matter. We got to focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if we're playing Newton or the Dallas Cowboys. So I was like, man, wonder if Dak Prescott's going to make an appearance at the game or something.
Well, if they played like they did last week, then I think Anderson will be all right. a little cardinal turn into a bird of prey, and I think an owl is a bird of prey if I remember correctly.
Close.
Oh man, maybe it'll be a good omen for the Owls then.
Maybe so.
But no, the biggest thing you just said, hey, we got to just play our game at defense. They've been relying on that defense. And the nice thing too, he said, I kind of asked him too about the start. It's kind of fun fact, Alex. I was gonna throw some trivia at you, but
please, let's do it.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead?
Let's do it, Jake.
When was the last time? And I might have already told you this, so hopefully I didn't. When was the last time, or what was Anderson Shiro's longest win streak under Coach Hodges?
Oh, you did tell me this.
Oh, I did? Okay.
But I can't remember what you said. I want to say you said it was 2015, maybe?
2019.
2019,
It went started the year 7-0.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They had Woody Hayes at quarterback. Woody Haynes at running back.
Yeah, so haven't even hit their...
That was the fun fact.
Okay.
Anderson, first game I ever covered for the Eagle, they beat... Oh, gosh, who was it? It was another Brazos Valley team. It might have been Iola. They beat them like 26-0, and... Woody ran all over him, man.
Was it that season?
Yeah, it was that season, 2019.
Wow, okay. We might need to... I'm about to call Coach Hodges and say, I'll get Alex to the game this Friday.
I'm a historian, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Might be a good sign then, because I think that was part of... When I was looking yesterday, I think that Iola win was part of that streak.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly which win it was. But, no, the nice thing is if they focus on what they do, I think Anderson's got a shot. One of the big pluses he said is, hey, we're 5-0 at this point, because we've been kind of doing it as a group. One guy has a big play. They don't just go, oh, hey, I wish that was me. It's kind of a group effort. Everyone celebrates that guy. If they can just stick to that game plan, they don't get the stars in their eyes like he said, I think they should be fine. It's at home, I believe, for the Owls.
I think it is. I think you're right.
So hopefully they have some fans come out. I don't know if they can pull out the win. Like you said, 42-point favorite. Crazier things that have happened. I'm sure nobody thought the Cowboys were going to lose last week.
With
but
all due respect to Coach Hodges' team. But, yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough
It's
one.
a tall mountain to climb.
It is a tall mountain to climb. But I'll tell you this. If they do beat Newton, that's probably the win of the year in the Brazos Valley so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because they'd be, they'd probably be in the driver's seat for favorite for the
that
district, too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Taking it home. Bremond versus Windthorst. Final non-district game for the Tigers. It's kind of been an up and down thing. Bremond's still trying to find its footing. They've played a couple of good teams. They played Holland last week. Holland's a good team.
Yeah, I would say Holland was undefeated.
Yeah, Holland is not a bad team. They lost to Kearns earlier this year by 1.
Yeah.
A game they probably should have won, but
they're 2-2.
Bremond they beat Windthorst pretty good last year. Windthorst 2A Division 2. They've been pretty solid. Won the state championship in 2020, but Tigers are just looking to find some consistency right now, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of understandable. You mentioned Braylon Wortham earlier. He moved from Bremond to College Station,
right?
This offseason. So, yeah, they're still figuring some things out. But, hey, credit to Coben Zane. He's been stepping up there at quarterback for them. I think he was a wide receiver last year and maybe never even played quarterback. I'd have to ask Eagle editor Rick. I think Rick Wegman, he did the story on it. So I might have to go ask him, get a little scoop there. But, I think, they've been putting up points. I want to say, they put up 21 on Holland?
Yeah, it was 31-21, I think.
Holland's not too easy to score on. I think Old Burton had some trouble
Burton
start
lost
the
to
year.
him.
Yeah. They put up some points. I think if they keep figuring things out before non-district, they should be good in district play.
Well, guys, got any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Just super excited for this week.
Hey, Jake, what's your Travis Kelce outfit gonna be on Friday night?
Oh yeah, I gotta think about that. Go through the closet. Got my sunglasses at least, so I got that picked out.
Well, I guess if Taylor Swift makes an appearance in Cedar Park, then all bets are off.
Yeah, I'll be ready, man.
For Swelsey. So, Jake, you better show him what you got, okay?
Yeah, I'm about to say, I might have to ask you later this week for a restaurant recommendation.
Dude,
maybe find a post game spot.
Just go to Pluckers.
All right.
All right. You can't go wrong with the chicken wings there.
Hopefully T Swizzle likes Pluckers, I guess.
There you go. Hey, be sure to check theeagle.com for all of our coverage on high school football here in the Brazos Valley. Be sure to follow these guys on Friday night as we provide live updates on all the games that we're covering here around town and around the Brazos Valley. We'll see you next week on the Brazos Sports Preps Cast.